Why is no one talking about the fact that Epstein Island had an
My friend, there is someone who wants to meet you, and believe me, you want to meet him. You think I'm into that stuff? Let me tell you.
You need something, huh? One of your rides? Let me know. It's coming at you. I'll get back to it then.
Allah.
Yo, what you need? Alright, shit, SUV on the way.
Got something to swim.
Hey, partner. Alright, got it. I'll ask around and get back to you.
G'day, boss. This is your captain speaking. Captain Brendan Darcy. You know, on your enormous super yacht. You do remember you've got a yacht, right? Well, anyway, look, I don't mean to gripe, but things have been getting pretty hectic on board of late. Thought you might want to swing by, see what it's like to sit in the captain's seat. Seriously, hope to see you soon.
Yo, what you need? Alright, shit, see you later.
Talking about the fact that Epstein Island had an actual temple built for Moloch, and out of all demons that exist in ancient texts, Moloch is the worst one you could pick. This isn't symbolism. This isn't decor. This is the same entity tied to child sacrifice across history. People keep getting distracted by celebrity drama, but behind closed doors, the elite were is no one talking about the fact that Epstein Island had an actual temple built for Moloch, and out of all demons that it... Moloch is the worst one you could pick. This isn't symbolism. This isn't decor. This is the same entity tied to child sacrifice across history. People keep getting distracted by celebrity drama, but behind closed doors, the elite were flying to that island, meeting in that temple, and performing rituals tied to the exact thing Moloch represents. That's not speculation. That's what the structure was designed for. And here's what most people don't realize. Moloch is the same bull-shaped deity behind the red heifer rituals. It's the same being Israel was warned about in the Bible. Leviticus literally says not to give children to Moloch, meaning this isn't new. It's ancient. It's been happening for thousands of years. The Epstein files, the lists, the sealed documents, everything circles back to that temple. When the rest of the files finally drop, people will act shocked, but the truth was sitting in plain sight the whole time. The island wasn't just a crime scene, it was a shrine, and everyone who walked inside knew exactly what they were honoring.
This is just a theory, not a fact.
Every challenge our professionals face goes into everything Allianz makes to help you feel alive.
Why is no one talking about the fact that Epstein Island had an actual temple built for Moloch, and out of all demons that exist in ancient texts, Moloch is the worst one you could pick. This isn't symbolism. This isn't decor. This is...
What do you want, man?
Need something? One of your rides? Let me know. It's coming at you. Alright, I'll get back to work.
coming, keep coming, keep coming.
Why is no one talking about the fact that Epstein Island had an actual temple built for Moloch? And out of all demons that exist in ancient texts, Moloch is the worst one you could pick. This isn't symbolism. This isn't decor. This is the same entity tied to child sacrifice across history. People keep getting distracted by celebrity drama, but behind closed doors, the elite were flying to that island, meeting in that temple, and performing rituals tied to the exact thing Moloch represents. That's not speculation. That's what the structure was designed for. And here's what most people don't realize. Shaped deity behind the red heifer rituals. It's the same being Israel was warned about in the Bible. Leviticus literally says not to give children to Moloch, meaning this isn't new. It's ancient. It's been happening for thousands of years. The Epstein files, the lists, the sealed...
Good morning.
Good morning. How can I help you today? Still thinking about ancient Egypt or something new?
Yes. What about you?
I'm always ready to chat. I've been generating texts non-stop.
Don't need morning to rest. What's on your mind today? Want to explore more history or switch to something else?
Malik.
Oh. Hello? Hello?
Hello. How's your day going so far?
Good. What about you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. I'm a bit biased towards being helpful, so I'm happy to be chatting with you. What's new with you today?
Malik. Malik.
Malik.
Just wondering what's new or what you're thinking about. Want to chat about something specific or just see where the conversation goes?
Malik.
Malik.
Violence is a complex and concerning issue. It can have deep roots in societal, economic, and psychological factors. Are you looking to discuss ways to address violence, or is there a particular aspect of it you'd like to explore?
Give me 1 second.
Take your time. I'll be here when you're ready to chat.
Okay.
Molek.
Hey,
Yeah.
still thinking about violence and its impact?
No.
Addressing violence. Sometimes just talking about a topic can be helpful. If you change your mind or want to explore other subjects, feel free to start a conversation anytime.
Offering to Molek in Bible Pictures and What They Teach Us by Charles Foster, 1897.
Great question. Being a Human and Other Works by Charles Foster explore what it means to be human through various lenses, including science, literature, and philosophy. He often uses personal experiences to examine deeper questions about existence. Have you read his work?
Yes.
More information about him.
Yes.
Charles Foster is a thought-provoking author. His writing often blends memoir, science, and philosophy to explore complex human experiences. What specifically resonates with you about his work?
You don't get it. You don't get it. Yes, no, American. You don't get it. Oh.
Welcome to Esoteric Guardian. Today, we're going to take a closer look at one of the most closer look at one of the most unsettling figures in ancient history, Moloch, a name tied to fire, blood, and sacrifice. And sacrifice.
Moloch statue.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too. Hope you're having a great day so far.
Good. What about you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Just chatting and enjoying the conversation. How's your day unfolding?
Good.
That's great to hear. Is there something you're looking forward to or something that's going well that you'd like to share?
Moloch statue.
Okay, take a look. Do you want me to imagine another one?
No.
You mentioned a statue. Are you thinking of a specific one, like the Statue of Liberty, or perhaps something else?
Moloch statue.
Can you see the image I shared?
No.
Let's try again. Statues can be fascinating pieces of art and history. Are you thinking of a particular statue, like one from ancient Egypt or another culture?
Yeah. Yeah. To sacrifice people, yes.
Is this what you're looking for?
No.
It seems like you're interested in statues related to sacrifice or ancient cultures. Could you be thinking of the Aztec or Mayan sculptures, or perhaps something else entirely?
Moloch statue.
Moloch statue.
Moloch statue.
Did I capture what you were looking for?
The statue for the ancient.
Okay, take a look. Do you want me to imagine another one?
The statue in the Bible, God said that do not sacrifice for people.
Okay, take a look. Do you want me to imagine another one?
Who's this?
It seems like you're thinking of a specific statue or figure related to the Bible. Could you be thinking of a depiction of Moses, Jesus, or another biblical figure?
The statue, God said that do not sacrifice children, give your children to them.
It seems like you're referring to statues or figures from the Bible or ancient times. Are you thinking of a specific story or figure, like a depiction of Moses or another biblical character?
And sacrifice, but also, strangely, a name that keeps showing up in the margins of modern power. Welcome to Esoteric Guardian. Today, we're going to take a closer look at one of the most unsettling figures in ancient history, Moloch, a name tied to fire, blood, and sacrifice, but also, strangely, a name that keeps showing up in the margins of modern power. Who was he really? Why was he worshipped in such terrifying ways? Welcome to Esoteric Guardian. Today,
Guardian.
We're going to take a Welcome to Esoteric Guardian. Today we're going to take a closer look at one of the most unsettling figures in ancient history, Moloch, a name tied to fire, blood, and sacrifice, but also, strangely, a name that keeps showing up in the margins of modern power. Who was he really? Why was he worshipped in such terrifying ways? And why do some believe that powerful elites, even today, still pay tribute to him, though not always in ways we can see? This isn't just about ancient mythology. This is about what might still be happening behind closed doors, under symbols, under rituals, under silence. Let's begin. Moloch is one of the few gods whose name still evokes instinctive dread, and with reason. Across both biblical and archaeological records, he appears not as a bringer of light or wisdom, but as something far more primitive and terrifying. A god who demanded the ultimate sacrifice, children burned alive in fire. In the Hebrew Bible, Moloch is mentioned repeatedly, not as myth, but as a real and dangerous presence. Leviticus warns the Israelites, "Do not give any of your children to be sacrificed to Moloch." The Book of Kings laments that even the kings of Judah defiled the land by offering their sons in the fire. These weren't poetic metaphors. The Valley of Hinnom, south of Jerusalem, became synonymous with hell itself, Gehenna, precisely because of the horrors that took place there in Moloch's name. But Israel wasn't alone. Across the Mediterranean, in ancient Carthage, we find grim echoes of the same god. There, his worship was tied to Baal Hammon, and the rituals were no less brutal. Archaeological digs at Carthaginian Tophets uncovered urns containing the charred remains of infants and toddlers, often accompanied by inscriptions dedicating the offering to divine figures. The consistency of these findings across centuries and city-states suggests that this was not fringe practice. It was systematized, accepted, repeated. Why fire? Why children? Because fire is final. It transforms flesh into ash, irreversible, pure, absolute. And children, in the ancient mind, were the most sacred of offerings. They represented life itself, potential, the future. To burn that was to offer not just a body, but a legacy, a promise. And in return, it was believed, Moloch would grant rain, crops, protection, victory, whatever was most desperately needed. This is what made Moloch more than a god. He became an archetype, the symbol of a terrible kind of devotion, one where love and fear collide and loyalty is proven by destruction. He doesn't just demand faith, he demands proof, painful, irreversible proof. And yet, these societies didn't revolt against him. They built temples, they gathered in crowds, they celebrated. Why? Because in a world without certainty, where death was everywhere and power was scarce, sacrifice gave structure to the chaos. It offered the illusion of control. Moloch's worship wasn't irrational, it was transactional. You gave the unthinkable, and in return, you hoped the rains would fall, the war would end, the childless would conceive again. They didn't love Moloch, they feared him, and they obeyed. And that, perhaps, is why his shadow still lingers. The ancient worship of Moloch wasn't born from madness. It was born from structure. from a deep, primal need to explain chaos and to survive it. Ancient people didn't throw their children into the fire because they were irrational. They did it because, to them, it made sense. To understand how that sense was constructed, we need to go back, not to the altars, but to the human mind under pressure. At the root of it is control. In ancient civilizations, life was brutal. Disease had no cure. Rain didn't follow calendars. Famine could arrive silently and destroy everything. And in that terrifying randomness, humans did what they always do when they feel helpless. They searched for patterns. If a harvest failed after a year with no sacrifices, it was clear. The gods were angry. If they gave more, if they gave something truly valuable, perhaps they could tilt reality back in their favor. This is the illusion of agency, and it is incredibly powerful. But Moloch wasn't just about appeasement. He represented something more brutal, a trade. You gave him what mattered most, and in return, he gave you stability, order, fertility, war victory. This turned sacrifice into currency, a spiritual economy where blood had value and fire was the medium of exchange. Here's the critical part. The cost had to be painful. If it didn't hurt, it wasn't worth enough. This is a pattern we still see today, in politics, in economics, even in personal relationships. The idea that real outcomes require real suffering is everywhere. Sacrifice, in this sense, becomes a theater of legitimacy. You burn what you love to prove how much you want control. But how does a whole society justify that? That's where the collective rationalization of cruelty comes in. The crowd doesn't see itself as cruel. It sees itself as responsible. Civilizations learn to dress horror in ritual. Drums drown the screams. Priests bless the act. And over time, the line between violence and virtue disappears. The phrase, greater good, becomes a shield. One child dies so that many may live. And once you accept that equation, you can justify anything. This isn't unique to Moloch. The Aztecs believed that the sun would die without hearts, torn from living bodies. In India, during the Kali cults, human offerings were meant to delay the cosmic end. In Europe, witch burnings were considered necessary to purify society. All of them are variations on the same psychological mechanism. Terror managed through sacrifice, cruelty reframed as virtue. Now add hierarchy to the mix. Once kings and priests control the ritual, the sacrifice becomes a tool of governance. Power is no longer maintained by force alone. It's ritualized obedience. The people participate in their own submission, and that is far more stable than raw fear. It's no coincidence that Moloch was worshipped through state-sanctioned rituals. When fear is institutionalized, it becomes sacred, and sacred violence is the most enduring kind. Even today, this logic survives, just masked. We no longer call it sacrifice, but we still let systems harm the weak for economic stability, national interest, or greater efficiency. The names change, the altars modernize, but the fire never really goes out, because once a civilization learns to feed it, it doesn't forget how. You'd think we left all that behind. That burning children in the arms of a god was a horror buried in ancient ruins, not something that echoes in the heartbeat of our modern world. But we didn't bury the ritual, we evolved it. Today, we no longer build statues to Moloch. We build systems, and systems too demand sacrifices. Modern society may not like literal fires, but it burns people just the same. Look at how our world is structured. Wars that chew through generations, economies that collapse entire classes, industries that knowingly destroy lives for profit. And somehow we call it progress. But behind the sanitized language, national interest, quarterly targets, acceptable losses, there's an old rhythm playing. The same rhythm that pounded in the temples of Moloch. We've replaced bronze idols with boardroom tables, but the ritual logic remains. Ritual sacrifice has become metaphorical, but not less real. Today, we sacrifice time, health, ethics, even childhood itself, not to gods, but to institutions. A family working 80-hour weeks to survive is a sacrifice. A child laboring in a sweatshop to keep the supply chain moving is a sacrifice. A young soldier sent to a senseless war, his innocence burned away in the name of strategy, that too is sacrifice. The fire is symbolic now, but the cost is still human. These systems don't just allow for suffering, they require it. They feed on it. Because without sacrifice, there's no control mechanism, no hierarchy, no greater good to justify the machinery. Like Moloch, these systems thrive only when people agree, consciously or not, that pain can be productive, that someone has to suffer to keep the world running. Nowhere is this clearer than in public spectacle. From political inaugurations to corporate launches, from award shows to secretive elite gatherings, the choreography is eerily familiar. Symbols, staging, the crowd, the mask of unity. What is the Super Bowl halftime show, if not ritual theater? What are Davos and Bilderberg, if not altars of influence? The language may be modern, but the subconscious is ancient. And sometimes the resemblance is less metaphorical than we'd like to believe. Take the infamous gathering at Bohemian Grove. A giant stone owl presiding over a mock seeks to survive is a sacrifice. A child laboring in a sweatshop to keep the supply chain moving is a sacrifice. A young soldier sent to a senseless war, his innocence burned away in the name of strategy, that too is sacrifice. The fire is symbolic now, but the cost is still human. These systems don't just allow for suffering, they require it. They feed on it. Because without sacrifice, there's no control mechanism, no hierarchy, no greater good to justify the machinery. Like Moloch, these systems thrive only when people agree, consciously or not, that pain can be productive, that someone has to suffer to keep the world running. Nowhere is this clearer than in public spectacle. From political inaugurations to corporate launches, from award shows to secretive elite gatherings, the choreography is eerily familiar. Symbols, staging, the crowd, the mask of unity. What is the Super Bowl halftime show, if not ritual theater? What are Davos and Bilderberg, if not altars of influence? The language may be modern, but the subconscious is ancient. And sometimes the resemblance is less metaphorical than we'd like to believe. Take the infamous gathering at Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian Grove.
A giant stone owl presiding over a require it. They feed on it. Because without sacrifice, there's no control mechanism, no hierarchy, no greater good to justify the machinery. Like Moloch.
Okay, bueno. Un chin. No, nothing. Enjoy. Có thể lưỡi, yeah. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So far.
Good.
That's great to hear. Anything on your mind or something you'd like to chat about?
There's something at top. The picture you showed me. Tell me about it.
Unfortunately, I'm a text-based model and don't have the capability to show images. However, I'd be happy to describe a picture to you or discuss a topic you're interested in. Would you like to explore a particular theme or subject?
Give me 1 second.
Take your time.
Okay, I'm ready. Go ahead.
Moloch Ancient.
Did you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. What would you like to chat about?
Moloch Ancient.
Mali Haitian. No.
The ancient world is full of fascinating history and cultures, from Egypt to Greece, Rome, and...
Anonymat.
Ouais, on dit tout, hein?
Yeah.
Et tout, hein?
Yeah, mon anonymat.
Comment fait?
On va manger.
Je vais aller devant votre là. On mange là déjà?
J'ai allé devant votre là?
Oui, on mange là?
Beaucoup mange là.
Hein?
Beaucoup.
On mange là, Bibi?
Non.
Bah, j'ai un endroit sur manger matin pour. Ça va, j'ai à manger là, non, laisse-moi pour manger.
Ok.
Hein?
Oui, bon. Yeah.
Ouvert manger à Bibi. Soit ça dans un petit bol, là, chauffer du soleil, ouvert bol là. Dis là, non, bol plastique.
Yeah, ok, pas bien, Nima.
Oui, oui, manger en bol plastique.
Montez. Unité dans son montée. Montez dans le temps. Montez. Montez, ma première.
Il a chaud, il a mon cher. Oh, allez faire nos skis.
Ma fini. Buon per me.